Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. So on today's video, I'm going to discuss three things. Number one, that which stocks you can possibly SIP. SIP मतलब होता है that for example, if you're getting your salary and if you are looking to put that money into the market, then regularly which stocks you could possibly consider buying. So this is one. Second key point, that which stocks you could bulk buy. कि भाई अच्छी opportunity है. Right now we will just buy and hold it for a little bit. Which stocks would these be and why? Third and finally, which stocks you should avoid. ये third part तो कोई बात ही नहीं करता. So I'm going to speak about all these three parts on today's video. For people who are new to my channel, my name is Akshat Shrivastava. I graduated from INSEAD Business School. I learned a lot of finance. Now, approximately for the last 10 years now, I've been managing a fairly decent sized portfolio. Now I run my own hedge fund. I travel across the world. I understand investing through different lenses. I study the macroeconomics. So I'm a macro investor. I share all these learnings through my courses, through my YouTube member community. I try to educate people fundamentally, and that is what the goal of this video will be as well. So this is not a recommendation video. I will help you understand the logic behind things. So if you like it, do consider number one, liking this video, and number two, subscribing to the channel. So, okay, so let's begin. And the first and foremost thing that you need to understand is the Nifty levels, because दुनिया भर की बातें चल रही हैं कि you know what, Nifty is overvalued, undervalued, this, that stuff. So see guys, basically Nifty is here and it has been consolidating in this range since when? For the last 2 years, the Nifty PE ratio has been almost in this same zone. So for the last 2 years, even now, Nifty has been consolidating. It is neither overvalued, this is neither undervalued. According to me, this is fairly valued right now. Now, of course, going forward in the future, panic create कर दिया जाता है. For example, right now, a lot of talk is happening that Mr. Warren Buffett is sitting on massive amount of cash. He has liquidated some of his position on Apple stock. So crash आने वाला है, crash आने वाला है. No, so Mr. Warren Buffett had liquidated his positions even after 2020 के आसपास, and then he was sitting on cash for approximately 1.5 years. He missed a major market rally. I'm not saying that he's a bad investor or something. Please don't start all that fight. I'm just helping you understand the entire context. And every day, some big ticket investor, for example, Mr. Michael Burry, he constantly says negative things about the market कि अब कल गिरेगा, परसों गिरेगा market, day after tomorrow it will fall, this, that stuff. See guys, you have to be reasonable, okay? The point and a more practical perspective is that if you are a big ticket investor, let's say that if you have 100 crores in the market, even when you are trying to convert more into cash positions, you will not cut more than 20% of your positions. Now, typically speaking. Now, on top of that, if every year this big investor is making 10 crores, आपको क्या लगता है कि they will just put it under the mattress and go to sleep? No, inflation will eat all this money away. So they still keep on investing in a sensible manner. So which brings us to point number two. But let me close point number one. That's see, right now, the market is neither undervalued, neither overvalued. You don't need to be hyper scared. You don't need to be overjoyous कि भाई market में Nifty all time high बना रहा है, this that stuff. भाई वो all time high बना रहा है, that is the price component. But check it in context of earnings. Okay, so if earnings are going up and therefore the price is going up, there is no issue. But if the price is going up and the earnings are going down in the market, that's a problem. So knowing these fundamental points is what is going to give you confidence. So I hope that this first point is clear. Now let's move on to second key point, that okay, what are some SIP worthy stocks and can you give some commentary? Yes, so I'll be quick here. So एक सिंपल कहानी से स्टार्ट करते हैं and let's talk about HDFC Bank. See, I am not SIPing in HDFC Bank first and foremost, and I'll quickly explain you the logic behind it. Okay, see, the best time to SIP something like HDFC Bank was somewhere here when it was in a growth phase कि 2008-9 के आसपास this crash had already happened, right? I mean यहाँ पे भर के बिकवाली हुई थी on especially banking stocks. They got crushed very badly, all that stuff. And after that, there was a massive recovery. So for example, if you would have purchased or did SIP on something like HDFC Bank, it was a smaller bank to begin with. And then if you would have continued to hold it in the entire bull run, it almost like how much money did it make for you? It almost 10x'd your money. Okay. So again, I will just mark this region down somewhere here, right? कि here you purchased and you continued to invest it here. अब आपने देखो यार bulk कर दिया होता कि 1 crore यहाँ पे लगा दिए. So this would become 12 crore or whatever. Okay, great. But it's not as if that you can buy it at the absolute bottom and sell it at the absolute top. ये तो नहीं होता, right? Basically the idea is कि आप SIP वगैरह करते चलो, right? यहाँ पे, right? At every juncture you keep on putting making money on a systematic basis, and instead of 12xing your wealth, this would probably 4x, 5x your wealth, which is very, very good. Okay. Now, what you need to understand here is very simple. That see, back in 2008, 2009, HDFC had a smaller market cap. अब Google करके बता देना मुझे कि कितना था. But market cap would have been very less. It would have been a fraction of what it is right now. Okay. So this bank could almost 2x, 4x in size. Okay, so this was possible back then. Number two, there was some good stuff happening in the banking industry, especially private sector banks. उस time पे PSU पिटाए थे, scam कर देते थे, and efficiency was not there, all that stuff was there. And basically a lot of good things was happening in private banks in India, right? And the growth rate of this industry was fairly high. The banking growth rate has been very high in India in the last 1.5 odd decades. So this was overall a growth stock. Okay. So जो SIP करा जाता है, that is usually done on a growth asset. ऐसा नहीं कि अब आपने SIP करना शुरू कर दिया on HDFC Bank. Now tell me that hey, how much will HDFC Bank grow in market cap by? यहाँ से I'm not saying that it will not grow. It will definitely grow. It might double in size, but that might happen due to PE expansion, not necessarily due to earnings doubling and all that stuff. अच्छी performance है bank की, you can expect, like let's say a 15% CAGR growth on the bank, but it's not as if that it's a very small bank and it will keep on doubling every 4-5 years, all that stuff. Okay, so therefore it is not an SIP stock as per my understanding. Now it is a bulk buy stock. Now what is the meaning of bulk buy? बहुत ही simple words में मैं आपको बताता हूँ. देखो यार, HDFC Bank का PE ratio is here. Okay, so this is the average PE. Okay, which is around 24. Right now the PE is what? PE is around maybe like 16, 17, right? So there is likely to be a PE expansion on the stock. For example, अगर earnings बढ़े भी ना, right? ये earnings कुछ नहीं बढ़ रही, there is a room for improving in price, right? So earnings, let's say it stays constant, the P ratio can still go from 17 to 24 with zero growth in earnings. Okay, so therefore it is in a bulk buying zone. Why? Because ऐसा तो होगा नहीं कि forever the banking, private banking stocks are going to remain at 17 P, this, that stuff. Why? It has been the lowest P since when? Since even here, right? So it is at less than that level. Same is the case in Kotak Mahindra Bank. Same is the case in a bunch of other private sector banks. So these are at bulk buying levels, so to say. Now what becomes a good SIP worthy stock, right? So on the flip side, if we consider something like, let's say, IDFC First Bank. Now यहाँ पे IDFC First Bank में what is it that you need to notice? And ये मैं चीज़ बोलता भी रहता हूँ, right? I mean, I have repeated this because I want you guys to make money. See, here the market cap is 54,000 crore. What was HDFC's market cap? It was 11 lakh crore. Now there is almost a 20x or 20 times difference between IDFC First Bank market cap and HDFC Bank's market cap. So अगर आपने SIP पकड़ना है, तो where do you think growth will improve? For example, एक अच्छा phase आ गया banking में, then do you think or do you not think that IDFC First Bank will literally double in literally 2 years, right? ये होना की probability is much higher than HDFC Bank doubling in 2 years, right? So this is the bottom line. Now I don't mean to scare you. For example, आप बोलेंगे हाय आपने HDFC Bank की बुराई कर दी, आपको भरोसा नहीं है HDFC Bank पे, this that stuff. No guys, HDFC Bank is a very good bank. I have bought it in bulk. I am keeping it and it will grow in value. Why? Again, I keep on showing it, so I will be very quick here. So HDFC Bank, यहाँ पे मैं आपको दिखा भी देता हूँ. फॉर एग्जाम्पल यहाँ पे आप देख लो यार, इन द लास्ट 4-5 years हैज़ इट बीन एबल टू डबल इट्स earnings, net profits? Yes, it has been. Okay, so technically होना क्या चाहिए that in the last 4 years, for example in 2019 के आसपास what was the stock price? So आप यहाँ से देखो 2019 के आसपास the stock price was roughly 1300. Now what is the stock price? It is 1400 something, despite revenues doubling, despite profits doubling. So under no circumstances is HDFC a bad bank, but it is not an SIP type of a thing, because इसमें जब gain आएंगे ना तो बहुत fast gains आएंगे and then for a fairly long period of time it might just consolidate again. So therefore you need to buy these type of good stocks. For example, HDFC Bank हो गया, Kotak हो गया, when either technical patterns are getting formed or when you see a bulk buying opportunity. Let me give you another example of a bulk buying opportunity, which is Hindustan Unilever. Okay, so मैं इसके बारे में भी काफ़ी बात करता हूँ, तो I'll just quickly cover it and explain you the funda. So therefore I'm repeating the examples. Now see here again, if you take a look at the PE ratio, right, it is almost falling to its average PE. So you're not buying this stock at crazy valuations. प्रॉब्लम क्या होती है, व्हेन यू आर बाइंग HDFC बैंक और एक्सिस बैंक और गुड कंपनीज लाइक हिंदुस्तान यूनिलीवर, यार अब देखो इसमें स्कैम होने की probability is very less. Even if you go and read like 20 or whatever annual report does that, you will not be able to uncover any scams and all that. These are cleanly run firms. They are in the public light. The only issue which happens in these type of companies is that valuation goes up very high. So if you are bulk buying these type of stocks at good levels, you will make good money. That is the bottom line. Now I'm not saying कि कल growth हो जाएगी. I don't know, man. It might take like 6 months. It might take 1 year for stock price recovery, whatever it is. But right now, if we go back to FMCG space, so the volume is coming up. I had made an entire video on HUL. Go and watch it. So volume growth is happening, right? Profit growth में वैसी कोई problem नहीं थी when it comes to HUL stocks because they are able to price their products really well. In fact, during COVID also, or just after COVID, they were able to increase their product prices by 10 to 20% in a single year. Okay, so उनके profit margins anyways get retained. Their valuations are also fine. It's not as if कि बहुत crazy valuation पे चल रहा है, average P पे आपको मिल रहा है, कोई issue नहीं है, right? So hopefully this should recover. Then comes a very natural response कि अच्छा है बैंक खरीद लिए और ये FMCG जिसमें sector rotation is happening now. How much money will I make? This that stuff. See, it really depends from stock to stock perspective. But let me still give you a very quick idea. Okay, so let me pick the example of Kotak Bank. Again, this is at a bulk buy level according to me. I have already bulk bought it. Now it's your call. What do you want to do with it? This is not a recommendation. आपने खरीदना है नहीं खरीदना है, all that stuff. See, here is where we are technically speaking. And if I just have to draw the pattern, this is the resistance line. Resistance होता है कि इसको touch करता है and it falls back, all this stuff. So you can see this. This is the support line. And the stock has been trading right from like almost 2021 से लेके अभी तक, right? It has been almost 3.5 years, right? Roughly 3.5 years, 0%. In fact, -% because अभी यहाँ पे आ गया stock, right? So how much returns can be made? So if this technical pattern would have sustained, right? So ideally this stock should have reached somewhere here, okay? So यहाँ से आपकी gain potential कितना बन जाता है? So the gain potential from here, because the stock right now is somewhere here. So the gain potential on this stock is roughly 60%, 60. Now all this gain can come in the next 12 months, right? So 60% next 12 months में हो जाए, या ये भी हो सकता है कि भाई देखो 3 years लग जाएं, every year you get like 20, 20, 20, और ये भी हो सकता है कि next 1 year nothing happens, 0% gains, and then next after that 3 years it starts running like really fast. So I don't know when this gain will come, but is it poised to give a gain? Yes, 100%, because आप कितना P नीचे ले जाओगे, right? So all these are bulk buying opportunities as per my understanding. Now a natural question will come कि अच्छा, can you write it on a stamp paper and give me that today if I invest in HDFC Bank or HUL and all these stocks, I will make money? No, I cannot write, right? Why? Because why? You need to have logic. You need to have confidence to invest, and this is the same kind of analysis I was giving for a stock like Meta. Again, I will link the video here. Go and watch it. इतनी गालियाँ पड़ी थी when I made that video कि हाय आपने Meta कैसे बोल दिया, ये वो बेकार company, this that stuff. When it started running in a year, it ran like 150%, right? So that's how fast even big companies can run. So please do not make the mistake of thinking that HUL cannot double in price. HDFC Bank cannot double in price quickly. It can, because वो gains जो है they are deliberately held. They are not allowed to run for a little bit. Okay, so that's typically how it happens. Because if it were that easy कि हर कोई पैसे छाप रहा है, right, by buying HDFC Bank, it doesn't work that way, right? I mean, then everyone would be rich. So you need to have an understanding of technicals. You need to have an understanding of business. You need to have faith, confidence, and you need to know the stuff that you are betting on. So I teach all this on my investment course. In case you guys are interested, it's 4-day intensively taught course. You guys can check out. The next batch is about to start, so you guys can check the links in the description and comment box. My batches fill out very quickly. The reviews are excellent for these courses. I will play some reviews for you. You guys can go and check it out yourself. In case you're someone who is investing more than 4-5 lakh rupees a year, then these are ROI positive courses. ROI का मतलब होता है कि for example यार, if I'm able to help you make additional 1.5, 2% return minimum भी, so यार आपका वसूली हो जाएगी कोर्स की, right? So please consider it from that lens. This is not a push that you buy my course or something like this. All I'm saying is that everything is practically fundamentally taught. Why? Because I myself show my P&L, right? Because every year I reveal it. So I'm an industry practitioner. I actually put my own money on the line. I put my funds money on the line. I get those learnings and I share it with my students. So okay. So now let's continue with the talk of SIP worthy stocks now. कि अच्छा ठीक है, आपने bulk buying opportunity you have said. What are some SIP worthy stocks? So IDFC first हो गया एक, pick which is a very good SIP worthy stock. Number two, what you can do is that see, you might now think about कि अच्छा यार बड़े stocks में then SIP करनी नहीं चाहिए, because then you know what will happen is that they might not double. This is what you told us. No, you need to understand the context. So मैं आपको Max Healthcare के केस से बताता हूँ, and this is a stock that I had purchased roughly 6 to 8 months back. I had also explained the rationale of buying it on my member community, and in the last 1 year this stock has given like rocket returns, right? So I mean honestly, like, so this has made very good money. And उस time पे what was happening was that the healthcare industry, a lot of money was coming in. For example, last year insurance became really expensive. I used to say it out very loudly, भाई insurance खरीद लो, premium बढ़ने वाले हैं. Healthcare inflation itself is 12-14%. Now what is the meaning of healthcare inflation being 12-14%? It means that if the general inflation in the economy जो सरकार बताती है that is 6-7%, healthcare products में that inflation is double. Now who is benefiting from this inflation? Well, companies like Max Healthcare. For example, अगर आप सर्जरी कराने जाते हो on Max Healthcare, right then, or Max Hospital में. Now earlier you used to pay like 1 lakh. Now because it is growing at 12%, in 5 years the cost of healthcare will double, and it will keep on doubling if inflation keeps going up at roughly 12%. So that is how fast the inflation is growing. Now the problem that ends up happening is that basically if you look at the market cap of Max Health, now यार ये this is like 81,000 crore की company है. This is not a small cap, mid cap type of a company. This is a reasonably sized player in the market. Okay. Now अब इसमें अगर आप देखोगे तो आपको पता चलेगा कि यार is it doubling its revenues, profits? The short answer is, in fact, in the last 3 years, it has almost 4 times. It has increased its revenues, and almost how many times? Almost 20 times. It has increased its profits. Now, एक natural question आता है कि अच्छा, is this thing cyclical? कि अच्छा maybe COVID की वजह से people started spending a lot more money on healthcare, and now they will not spend. Okay, no. So this is not like vaccine business, right? I mean, Max Healthcare is into hospitals. So for example, मैं आपको थोड़ा सा idea दे दूँ that where is Max Healthcare? So you'll say that it is engaged in providing healthcare services through primary care clinics, multi-specialty hospitals. So ये hospital business है, right? Now this is highly sustainable. Now you need to ask yourself कि अच्छा ठीक है, it has almost increased by 4 times in the last 3 years. Almost every year double हो रहा है in a way. So ऐसा क्यों, right? I mean, why is this happening? Now think about it that up until very recently, especially like pre-COVID, there was a lot of prevalence of very very small hospitals. These are, in fact, होता क्या था कि compounders used to become doctors. In fact, if you go to tier 2, tier 3 cities, villages, compounders act like doctors there. Okay, so this was unorganized healthcare, one could say. Now, much of that healthcare is getting converted into organized space. This is one. Second key point is a lot of migration to urban localities have happened. For example, जैसे बड़ी chain of hospitals is not there in Goa. There are a handful. Okay, but in Delhi there are almost every major hospital is there. आप बोलोगे healthcare facility बहुत अच्छी है दिल्ली में. भाई वो इसलिए है because even these hospitals do their own analysis कि सबसे बीमार लोग इंसान आपको कहाँ मिलेंगे. From there they will make a lot of money. So as cities get more urbanized, pollution problem, दुनिया भर की problems, by default people have no other choice but to avail treatments at these type of hospitals only. So this trend is likely to stay. The only reason why this trend will fall off is if de-urbanization problem happens in India, if satellite city starts to come up, then expansion इनको करना पड़ेगा and all that stuff, and their per hospital profit will come down. So expanding that franchise, so to say, it is already stable for something like Max, Apollo, all these stuff, and they are going to be consistent compounders from this point. It's unlikely कि भाई इनका 10,000 crore का business ना हो by the next 2-3 years, right? So this stock is also likely to double, so you could possibly put money in an SIP mode. Okay, now यार अब मैं हर स्टॉक से तो आपको वाकिफ नहीं करा पाऊंगा, सो आई विल मेक अ डिटेल्ड पोस्ट टुमारो ऑन द मेंबर कम्युनिटी. अगेन यू गाइस कैन चेक द लिंक्स इन द डिस्क्रिप्शन एंड कमेंट बॉक्स टू जॉइन इट. आई गिव मोर डिटेल्ड इन डेप्थ मैक्रो कमेंट्री, बट आई विल इंट्रोड्यूस यू टू वन मोर और कपल ऑफ मोर स्टॉक्स हियर. सो वन स्टॉक जिसको लेकर बहुत बात होती है विच इज जियो फाइनेंस. ओके, सो जियो फाइनेंस में, एंड आई एम ऑल्सो एन इन्वेस्टर बाय द वे, आई हैड मेड वेरी गुड मनी ऑन जियो फाइनेंस ऑलरेडी. अगेन आई हैड मेड ऑल द अनाउंसमेंट्स इन द मेंबर कम्युनिटी. नाउ अब जियो फाइनेंस पे आता है कि यार जियो फाइनेंस शुड वी बल्क बाय, शुड वी SIP? See, I am not doing either. Now, in my case, the situation is that I have already put a big chunk of money in Jio Finance to begin with, right? And वो काफ़ी बढ़ गया है. I have a relative margin of safety. So here are 3-4 key points that you should know about Jio Finance. Now, one is the market cap point. So see, the market cap of the company is already 2.25 लाख करोड़, इसमें आप 3 मैक्स हॉस्पिटल और मैक्स हेल्थ केयर चेंज डाल दो, दैट इज हाउ बिग जियो फाइनेंस हैज ऑलरेडी बिकम. राइट नाउ देयर रेवेन्यू फ्रॉम ऑपरेशन इज क्लोज टू नथिंग. वाई? बिकॉज इनके बिजनेसेस आर नॉट established yet. Most of the money that they are making is from their cash flow from investing and cash flow from financing. Okay. Now ये क्या होता है and all that stuff, इसके चक्करों में आपको पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है. Don't get into all this as of now. Basically, going forward, what is going to happen is that the onus of proving this market cap on Jio Finance has to be borne by OPEX income. Okay, so operational income इनकी आनी चाहिए. Basically, now if you break apart the model, what you will see is, and this was an interesting point here. So for example, here you will see, and I will highlight this section. This section is very important. That JioFin is a holding company of what? Of insurance broking, Jio Payments Bank, Jio Payment Solution, Reliance Industry, etc., right? And ये broking business में भी आएंगे, AMC business में भी आएंगे, etc. Now AMC business बनाना हो इन्हें, broking business बनाना हो इन्हें दुनिया भर के business बनाने हो, you have to still go ahead and prove the model, right? The first phase of growth of Jio Finance was a sentimental push, because उसमें क्या था कि everyone was almost certain कि यार देखो Jio Finance है, रेगुलेशन तो हैंडल कर ही लेगा एंड इतना इसका मार्केट कैप बन जाएगा बहुत आराम से, राइट? सो 2.25 लाख करोड़, जैसे मैंने आपको बताया, इट्स ऑलमोस्ट 3 times दैट ऑफ मैक्स हेल्थ केयर. ओके, नाउ दिस इज digestible, one could say. Okay, so अब कम हो सकता है, ज़्यादा हो सकता है, as per your understanding. Everyone would have their own perspective. My simple point is that hey, if Jio Finance is 50% market cap of HDFC Bank, I will not worry, because HDFC Bank को decades लग गए to get to that point of market cap. Jio Finance has a lot of connections. It already has a lot of regulatory clearances वगैरह वगैरह, and you know, brand building whatnot. So 50% तक की तो market cap is not an issue. अब ये approximation होते हैं यार, मैं आपको लिख के नहीं दे सकता, बिजनेस मॉडल ही नहीं है तो हाउ विल आई एनालाइज इट. सो आई एम गिविंग यू अप्रॉक्सीमेशन कि चलो यहाँ तक तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, इतना तो हो ही जाना चाहिए, नॉट एन इशू. आफ्टर दैट व्हाट इज गोइंग टू हैपन इज दैट सी दिस पीई is has to be justified. Right now this PE is at 140. Okay, now just for context, अगर आप एंजल 1 की PE देख लो एक्सेट्रा, तो उनकी PE must be around like 21-25 के आसपास, not more than that. This PE is very very high. So what this means is that this PE is at least going to correct by 50% from this point. 140 से 70 तो हो ही जाएगा, right, at some stage. And in order for the stock not to crash and all that stuff, earnings have to improve quite aggressively. And what type of earnings? Well, this has to be cash flow from operations. This cannot be cash flow from investing or cash flow from financing. अभी तक तो इसका गेम चल रहा था. Now this will be tested. Okay, so this has to justify the market cap of the company, and because इसमें PE का correction आएगा and all that stuff, so this stock is going to have a lot of volatility, right? So this is the bottom line. So for me, this is a buy on dips type of a stock. This is not a bulk buy anymore, because if I just quickly comment on the stock price in the last 1 odd year, it has gone from 242 all the way till 380. So almost like, you know, 80-90% run up हो चुका है. Many people have played around with the sentiment of the stock. This is reflecting into this. Okay, so 140 का PE. I'm not saying 140 का PE is dangerous, because इसकी earnings तो definitely बढ़ेगी. Ops cash flow from operation zero तो होंगे नहीं, right? I mean, it's logical सी बात है कि they are expanding everywhere, they have a partnership with BlackRock वगैरह वगैरह. So of course the earnings is going to go up, no doubt about that, right? The only issue that remains to be seen is कि at what rate are they able to double the earnings at every 2 years. That remains to be seen, because that is what the expectation of the market is from a Jio Finance stock. So this is a very good buy on dips type of a stock. This is a type of stock where you have to do margin of safety investing. Now what exactly is that? I will write a note next week on my member community. But basically if you are buying it at absolute crazy prices, कि आपने यहाँ जाके खरीद लिया भाई, भग रहा है Jio Finance, I will go and buy it. नहीं यार, you will go बर्बाद on these type of stocks. Don't do that. They will exhibit a lot of volatility. Now you might be something that, you know what boss, I am going to do SIP on Jio Finance. Then it depends on the duration of that SIP. For example, if you are of the viewpoint कि मुझे पैसे की ज़रूरत नहीं है, I am going to hold this stock for anyways 10 years, क्या करूँगा मैं पैसे का, पैसे मोहमाया होती है, this that stuff. So Jio Finance में ही दान कर देते हैं, right, and all that stuff. So you keep on doing SIP. Most likely it is likely to go up only, right? That should not be a problem. But given the volatility, right, कि इसमें इतना ऊपर नीचे होगा ये stock, right, and the chances of that happening is very very high given the very high PE of the stock. that you need to be a little bit cautious. Do not bulk buy at this stage. That is what I would say. But then that is my perspective. Of course, you guys can differ. So final point मैं आपसे बात करूँगा. And okay, so we have already run out of time, I think, but I will still give very quick commentary on this. This has to do with Tata Motors. मेरे हिसाब से आपको इस तरीके के stocks थोड़े से avoid करने चाहिए. The reason is that, for example, मैं आपको Tata Motors दिखाऊँ. Okay, so Tata Motors. So number one, if you take a look at the stock run up, right? So stock run up has happened from 180 rupees all the way till 963 rupees. So almost 7-8 times it has happened in the last 4 years. Now the reason is what? Now the reason is that everyone kept on saying कि EV growth आएगी, Tata Motors ऊपर चला गया. EV growth आएगी, Tata Motors ऊपर चला गया. Now भाई, almost 70% of the money that Tata Motors make is from its Jaguar Land Rover business. It is not necessarily an EV play. I think they manufacture some bit of EV, but majority of their sales are still conventional automobiles. So it's not because of that. Okay, so this is point one, right? But the sentiment says कि भाई EV की growth होगी, Tata Motors ऊपर चला गया. I see EV cars, therefore Tata Motors को भगा लो as a price. Okay, now this is dangerous because now the data is coming in कि EV segment has a lot of challenges. For example, and यार आप लोग बहुत इसमें confuse हो जाओगे, तो I'm just going to keep it at a very high level. I might make a separate video on this topic, but I will just state 2-3 points very, very bluntly, and feel free to disagree. No problem there, but please keep the discussion reasonable and don't confuse people who are just reading it and they are newcomers, all that. Okay, so number one problem is the four-wheeler infrastructure creation issues. For example, जैसे चाइना में जब EV चार्जिंग पॉइंट्स वगैरह बनते हैं, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर लेआउट होता है, US में जब ये लेआउट होता है, तो दिस इज ड्रिवन बाय डेटा कि आपको कितनी कितनी दूरी पे यू हैव टू plant those EV stations and EV charging stations, all that stuff. Now India announcement has been made कि अच्छा ये जो पेट्रोल पंप्स हैं उसको हम EV चार्जिंग स्टेशन बना देंगे. भाई जब पेट्रोल पंप बने थे, they were not built on any study per se. वो क्रॉप अप हो गए थे because when it comes to conventional automobiles, the range is fairly long, right? कि for example आपने पेट्रोल भरवा लिया, then you can possibly drive like 350 kilometers or something like this on a full tank. Okay, so वो long distance हो गया, तो पेट्रोल पंप आपको उस हिसाब से बन गए. Now अब क्या है? अब now if you actually say कि अच्छा ठीक है यार, इसी पेट्रोल पंप को we'll convert into EV charging points, all that stuff might not be suitable. Okay, that's point one. Point two, you might say कि अच्छा ठीक है, maybe we'll bring like new infrastructure in. अब आप new infrastructure highway पे लेके आओगे. Do you know the cost of land at a highway in India? It's one of the most expensive in the world. Why? Because India has a very densely populated, concentrated land. Population हमारी ज़्यादा है. So highway is not like agricultural land per se कि बहुत सस्ते सस्ते दामों पे आपको मिल जाएगा. How you will acquire it? ऐसे थोड़ी कि farmers बेचने बैठे हैं या आप लूट लोगे उनका land जाके. It's not that easy. So all these challenges are there in terms of infrastructure creation. It has got nothing to do with the fact that we cannot create good EV infrastructure. We can, but there are legitimate problems in India because हमारा densely populated land mass है. अमेरिका का almost like 3-4 times है इंडिया के land mass से. चाइना बहुत बड़ा है, right, in terms of land area, all that stuff. So building that infrastructure is easier there, right, compared to building that in India. So this is a major problem. Number two point is that in the EV segment, it is a net loser industry. For example, it's not as if कि मान के चलो कि 10 million vehicles are sold in the world, right? These are conventional, and now 50 million EV vehicles will be sold in the world because it's EV. No, the market size will remain the same only, whether you drive like conventional automobiles or EV automobiles. But the problem is that in this new age, अब सबको मौका लग रहा है कि what, हम automobile वाले हैं, we will also jump into EV manufacturing. The competition in this space is going to heat up. Okay, so this is the problem with the stock. अगर आप इसमें SIP वगैरह कर रहे हो, you don't know about the market prospects in the future कि इसमें कौन खिलाड़ी आएगा वगैरह वगैरह. अभी तक बात चलती थी कि what, Tesla is going to be the number one player. Even Elon Musk himself is saying what, कि Chinese is what I'm going to be scared of, क्योंकि वो बहुत अच्छे से they will be able to manage the competition. उनकी cost of production is lower, etc, etc. So lot of competition is coming into this mix. So please be a little bit cautious. I'm not saying not to buy it or something like this or sell it or something like this. This is your call. All I'm simply telling you is that this is a slightly overheated stock as per my understanding. The upside is very less compared to the downside, right? So that's what I would close the conversation at. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, do press the like button and subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you soon.